Yo guys, namaskaram, back again with another video. This time I wanted to talk about a very good phenomena. I think we all relate to it. It's called the Solomon's paradox. So, just to give you a little bit of context. So, King Solomon was this person. It's mentioned in one of the religious texts, wherein he was considered as the wisest person. So, there's a very good incident that had happened. So there was a boy, and there were two women specifically debating that who is the mother of that specific boy. And eventually they reached out to King Solomon, and then he had to come up with a solution. So he said, "Okay, let's just cut the boy in two parts, and each of you can keep one part." And then one lady mentioned, "No, no, just don't cut the boy." She started crying, got a little bit emotional, and she said that just give the boy to the other lady. And at that time, King Solomon said that the lady who had stopped this is essentially the mother of that boy. So she should be given the ownership of that boy. And he became very famous for such wisest of the wisest solutions. But now here comes the twist. So when we looked at his personal life, he had all these things going on for him, wherein he had 700 wives, a lot of other things. And it's also said that one of his sons, due to his bad parenting, he ended up ruining that kingdom. And with King Solomon, also, he had this obsession with wealth and a lot of other things which you would generally not expect with a person of wisdom who is expected to give such practical solutions to other people and their problems. So, how is it relatable to our own lives? You see that in Indian society, whenever you're wanting to do something, a lot of XYZ relatives would come and talk to you. "Oh, this is not how it would be. This is how we did it in our times." And a lot of these advices are given. And when you look at their own practical life, they hardly listen to themselves. There's like no emotional, let's say, maturity. And then they give you advice with such authority that they know everything about that specific issue. There's like no other person. They are the be all and end all of that specific problem. And I think it's very relevant in our society because we just don't like putting money where our mouth is. We just like to talk a lot of big, big things. Now, you see its impact, how it has just ruined a lot of other things. Let's talk about internet. So there's this thing wherein a lot of people are not there with genuine intentions but just to increase their business. So nothing wrong with it, but the center with which a person is coming from is very important. The, let's say, fitness industry, a lot of people tell you to take all these juices which has long term life impact, but they wouldn't take accountability for it. And then whenever, let's say, young impressionable minds are going in that path, it's just leading them to very dark places. Now, how is it relevant? You see that people have a tendency on the internet to show that how, let's say, deep they are in their specific field or whatever they're wanting to try to sell. Now, what this does in your mind is you perceive a sort of depth with the whole aura that they're framing in that specific video. You think that this specific person, because he's talking very confidently, is a very knowledgeable and respectable individual. He might mean the bestest of the best interests in my heart. The truth is, we can never know from which center the person is coming from which context is he speaking. And to be honest, it's like a parasocial relationship wherein one person is just speaking to a multitude of people through this camera. So I think specifically it should be very prudent of you to just apply this, because a lot of people who end up giving us advices, it's not about expecting, let's say, a perfect life. that what is it that they're living, but just a sort of credibility to their actions. It's not that, let's say, a person is doing XYZ things and then he's completely flipping 180 and then again 180 to just gain clout and fame and all of that. Because all of these advices and all of these beliefs which you take up in life, they end up having lot of long term consequences in your life. Maybe certain decisions wherein you wanted to take risks, you just shrink yourself because of wrong beliefs that might have been sown in your unconscious through all these videos, all these advices given by your relatives, maybe sometimes parents and things like that. So see, we can work with a lot of perspectives, we can increase our knowledge a lot, but at the end, whatever we feel is right to our heart is what one should eventually go for. Because sometimes, there's like that subtle difference. If I use the Vedantic term, what your Atman wants to speak through you wouldn't need all these external motivations. Let's say if one has a deep passion for music, he always wanted to do that thing. It's coming from someplace deep in his heart. Then he would always find ways to just extract the maximum out of the minimum resources that that person have had. Whereas if you see that one is just doing it for external metrics, that person would always have complaints in his or her own heart that I don't have so and so pieces, I don't have so many resources, I don't have any XYZ teachers. Wherein, the same people, or let's say people who have come from very poor conditions, if they have that drive in their heart, they can beat all these people if it's coming from the true center. So I'm not telling you to become a toxic, arrogant trick wherein you're just dismissing everybody, but I think it's mostly about listening to a lot of perspectives and then just doing what you feel is right to your heart. Because sometimes the advice that is given by a lot of people, it could be fueled by jealousy, envy. Sometimes there's that comparison that whether that relative's son or daughter would be much miles ahead than you, and then they consciously give you advices so that you can just be behind in life. Because every one of us is a self-centered, you can say selfish person at heart. Not a lot of people hold true value or true goodness in their heart towards you, so a lot of intentions can come in. But anyhow, now coming to this paradox, sometimes we might have also seen in our own life that whenever a friend is going through any breakup or anything, we are the wisest person. Like what advices we give to our best friends. Often, when the time comes to practically apply that advice in our own lives, we are just miles apart. So, how can we know this paradox's influence in our own lives and just work practically around it? So, see, I'm sure you might have all played some games in your life. It could be computer games or anything of that sort. The idea of playing a game is, let's say, whenever you're initially going in any game, you're getting deleted a lot in that specific game, and then you're trying multiple times again and again to find the correct path to go through the specific goal and reach towards the ending destination or whatever that thing is. So I think in life also, just having this perspective that I'll just play again and again. Of course, I'm not telling you to hurt yourself, but having this perspective that whatever situations are there, I'll just go in this act of playing that thing or doing that thing again and again, because all talk fails in front of action. A lot of people keep on talking about things for eons on end, but very few people actually act, and that is where we'll just imply this strategy. It's very important, I think, as our Hindu scriptures say, the core of it. If I go to the core of Karma Yoga, it says that just keep on doing your action. Don't focus on results and things like that. Now, there's a caveat to it. Sometimes it's only through seeing your life, seeing the results of your actions, is when you truly know that the action that you're doing is from that center of nishkamta, that is desireless action, that I'll just keep on improving and improving. So having this caveat in mind is also very important, that we'll just keep on acting and acting, improving ourselves like a game. And Jordan Peterson talks a lot about in his book 12 Rules of Life. So there's a very good chapter. He says that treat yourself as someone whom you would care for. Basically, you are distancing yourself and seeing yourself as an objective entity. So let's say your name could be Rahul or Ram or whatever it is. So you're not saying that what would, let's say if my name is Ram, what would I do? You'll generally say, okay, what would Ram do? What would Rahul do objectively? And then just taking your actions from that perspective. And like as in a game, you just see a lot of things objectively. It's very important. Like as a player, when you're just objectively apart from that player through the screen, you're just consciously distancing yourself. And that's very important because sometimes we get so stuck in our biases and our emotional things. Man is an emotional being at heart that it becomes hard to progressively move in life in a very healthy manner. And a very good perspective, let's bring in mortality as well. That see, at the end, no one cares. Everyone is so busy and invested in their own lives. Death equalizes us all. And it could be very liberating as well because whatever people were saying in 15th, 16th century, there were like a few doers. Let's talk about Da Vinci, Leonardo da Vinci. Whenever he was moving in life, taking all these decisions for himself, exploring a lot of things. A lot of people might have criticized him, but we just know Da Vinci because of the fact that he took on actions and his work is with us. Rest all of them, including Da Vinci, are just sands or particles of dust on this Mother Earth. Even after like 100 years, none of us would be alive. You watching this video, and even me. So, a perspective would be that instead of always thinking that I'm so bad, it wouldn't work, let's just take some bets in life and think, okay, why wouldn't it work? Why to think that it wouldn't work? Instead, flipping this and asking that, okay, let's take some chances. At the end, death just equalizes us all. Of course, I'm talking that you have strategic options, not telling you to just invest all your wealth in all these crony schemes, but like there's always a wide spectrum of things wherein you can just play with things, and that is the game of life. Every one of us have been dealt whatever cards we have been. It's the way we ought to play with those cards. So always just having this optimism in your heart that what would happen if it actually works. And I think this whole toxicity which the internet provides us, it's mostly a garbage bin. So and so has happened, so and so is happening in politics and whatnot. Just remove all of that. Your only responsibility is towards your own life. None of those people whom you're debating and texting for and commenting for would come to save you in your hard times. It's only your work and your skills that would save you in your own hard times, and also develop a sense of self esteem and that belief of self efficacy in your own mind. You can just keep on debating such policies and things like that, but I think this is where we'll also need to just separate ourselves from this whole toxic nature of the internet that exists and just focus on practical gems and nuggets of advice, strategies, and whatever is just helping us to intellectually sharpen ourselves. Because, see, at times, a lot of shit that exists on the net, even let's say if a person is watching 2 to 3 hours of podcast on XYZ specific thing, we are thinking that we are growing a lot, we are having this knowledge, but honestly tell me, in the last 1 to 2 months, how many podcasts or whatever content you might have listened, how much of it have you practically applied in your life? I like to call it mental masturbation, wherein we just like consuming a lot of shit, a lot of junk, thinking we'll use it in some XYZ day. But truth be told, that all learning happens when, let's say, you take a specific piece of information and then you practically or actively apply it in your life and then just reiterate, okay, this is how it is. So let's take the example of gym. You are going there lifting weights and things like that. You see a video on the internet that, okay, what's the correct form? Let's say if I want to do incline bench press or whatever it is, what's the correct form? And then the next day you go to the gym, you correct your form, and that is how learning happens. So this is practical, applied knowledge. But if you're just thinking about inflation perspectives and whatnot, if that is not your work and you're just listening it to pass your time, thinking that you're doing something very productive in life, you're not wasting your life. Your whole day has gone to waste. Now I listen to this podcast so that I'll feel good about myself. I feel very productive. That is all just mental masturbation. It's the same as you like playing with the major anaconda down there. It's the same. You're just wasting the potential of your mind, of this beautiful human brain that we have, that has brought humanity so much forward. So I think these were some perspectives which I wanted to share from Solomon's paradox thing. You let me know what your major learnings have been from this video, and do write in the comment section what limitations have you broken. I'll catch you in the next video. Until then, you stay awesome, keep working, and take care of your health. So yeah, this is Debu Ki Dastak from Debu Ki Dastak signing off. Cheers and